Rebecca, and I'm here giving a tutorial on compositing a map in Photoshop and making changes to that map using various clone tools. So this is for our class project where we're doing site-specific installation images, and so this would be essentially a Photoshop version of an earthworks type of art. So what we're going to do is we're going to be changing one of the islands in this picture into a whale. And the first thing that I want to do, though, is show you how I created this document in the first place, because this is composited from Google Maps shots. And so I had created using a low-res shot. I set up the document, and you can see that there's all kinds of stuff in there. And then I took closer-up shots, and I added them on top and got them to fit so that they looked okay. And I'm going to show you how I did that by using the last one that I have here. This is part of this island with a grassy field. That's why I called it a grassy field. And I want to be able to use the grassy field texture for our cloning work. So I wanted to bring in a higher resolution, not so messed up version, and then just fit it in with the rest. And then we're going to combine all of this into one layer that we can use. So, but the way that I do it is I take the layer that I'm trying to fit in and I change the blending mode to difference. And what that does is it lets me resize it and see when it fits. So you want it to get to as complete black as possible. So I'm going to go ahead and do Command or Control T, and that's going to give me my resizing marquee. Now remember, in Photoshop, unlike other applications, you don't hold down the Shift key to constrain the proportions when you're resizing. Instead, you hold down the Shift key when you don't want to constrain the proportions, because Adobe wants to make sure we're good and confused. So usually what I do is I resize it down to as close as possible, and then I zoom in and try to get it a little bit closer. So I generally pick something. You can see here's the center of that those paths there. So I'm going to try and drag it right on top of there as close as I can. And then I see that it's just a little bit too big on this side. So I'm going to see if I can just make it a tiny bit smaller. Yeah, something like that. And then I'm using my arrow keys to try and nudge it into shape. And you win the prize when you get everything black, but that never really happens. But I'm going to try and get it as close as I can. I think it might just still be. Maybe I made it too small. That's pretty close. Ooh, look at that. Okay, and then hit return to accept it, and then I'm going to change it back, whoops, to normal. And now I just have to clean this up a bit because it seems like it might be fine. Yes. We'll just leave that little island there, but I want to actually just get rid of some of this extra ocean. So I'm going to get my eraser tool, and I want it to be a little softer. So I'm going to use my Shift left arrow to make it softer, and my right, bracket, left bracket, and then my right bracket to make it bigger. And now, if you look up here, it's 175, and the hardness is not high. So you go right, shift right bracket to make your brush harder, and shift left bracket to make it softer. Oh, I don't want to do that. Oops. See, what I don't want to do is I don't want to erase it down here, because look at this. It's the, oh no, look. This was the one part of the picture that was blurry, and now it's not blurry, but that little square is there. Actually, I knew that was going to happen, but I decided that we would fix it as a little thing to do here. But I'm going to try and get rid of the square. I don't have it quite matched, so I'm going to go up to Select and Transform Selection to transform my selection to just be that little thing and nothing else. And then delete. You can see where there's a little gap there. There's just a little gap. So we're going to fix that with the clone tool, aren't we? We're going to do it. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting little patch job. So, but meanwhile, we have now resized this and it seems to fit. So we're going to continue to touch it up. Actually, I think that it's a little bit too big for this. There we go. We just want to not have it look like have lines in it. That's the main thing. And that Google should probably not be there. No Google. We don't want anybody to know we're using Google. Okay, so now that I've got this looking pretty good, I'll just go ahead and merge it down onto, in fact, I'm going to merge all three of these now. We'll just move ahead with this. So I'm selected all three of the layers that are the background map that I started with, the overlay, and then this last little piece that we fit in here. And I'm going to merge layers. Okay. So now I'm going to save this. So we opened Mission Bay Composite is the file. And now I tell you, right? But we're going to save this as whale, because we're adding a whale island. Whale island. There we go. Okay. All right. So now, now the thing to do is to turn this island into a whale, and we're going to use all these carefully inserted pieces of higher resolution map to do it. So the first thing we need to do is open up the whale, which is in Illustrators. So here's our whale artwork that we're going to use, and I'm just going to copy it, and then I'm going to paste it into, let's make this go away. I'll paste it into Photoshop, and it's going to ask me how I want to paste it, and I'm going to say, Smart Object, please. Add to my current library? Sure. Okay. So there's our whale. So we're going to go ahead and resize this whale so that its nose is going to be on a similar angle to this and kind of similar proportions. So we're going to make maybe the whale a little bit shorter and fatter. And that's actually a pretty good angle. Maybe just move this. Now we're just changing the way this displays because it's a smart object. So we're not really making big changes to the object itself. Just making changes to how it appears. All right. So now now that we have this in the right position, the next thing we want to do is create some nice layer masks so that we can do our cloning. So I'm going to start by taking my magic wand tool, and I'm going to have it set to not contiguous, although actually it wouldn't matter here, and not sample all layers, and a very low tolerance because I just want to select this black shape. And then I'm going to create a new layer right down here in the layers palette, hit the little plus, and then I'm going to hit this layer mask thing, and it's going to create a mask. You see it created a little mask. So now anything that I draw on this layer, which we're going to call whale gray, because it's going to be gray, in the end it's going to be like, it's going to be the filled with buildings, right? So it represents the part of that island that's got buildings on it and blacktop. That's going to be the texture of this shape. And then we're going to go back to our vector smart object, and we're going to select the white, and we're going to create another layer, and we're going to call it whale green. And then we're going to make a mask again. So now that part is going to be like the grass. We have now created these several layer masks that will help us to sort of Frankenstein together our whale island. But before we do that, let's go in here and we'll see if we can use the heel brush to fix this area here. And let's start by renaming this as the map, since when we merged down it changed. And then we will get our heel brush. Now this is the spot heel, and the spot heel is different than the heel, because the spot heel just looks at whatever's there and, you know, just fixes it like that. So it kind of blends the colors. So it's great for things like these little lines that you get sometimes, and you can use spot heel for that. But with the heel brush, what you actually do is you use it like the clone tool, like the rubber stamp. So if I wanted to heal this piece here, I would hit Option, hold the Option or Alt key there, and then I would start to paint along here. And probably want to stop before I get to the line and start again right here, and then just go all the way down. And we can do the same here. We can actually use the same bit if we want to. And we'll use the rubber stamp tool to get rid of that. I'll just go over here, I guess. Go over here and grab. So we're Option or Alt clicking to just pick up some color that we want to fix, specific colors. We'll go back to the spot heel now and make it smaller and just get this bit. Let's use the heel tool to grab this guy here. So Option click up here and then just whoosh, pull this down like that. Back to the spot heel to get this guy. And even down here, we can probably spot heel it. We'll switch to now to this rubber stamp tool to repeat this line. we can use the spot heal on this, see what happens. So now we at least have fixed that piece where it looked really bad, and nobody's going to notice it anymore. It's going to look fine. So that's cool. So the next thing we want to do then is we're going to go over here to our layers, and let's change the panel options. We're going to go down here to panel options and make them big, because that way we can see our layer masks a little bit better and what's on there. And we're going to take this vector smart object, which is the whale right here, move it to the top, and change that to about 50% opacity. So now we can see what the shape of the whale is, but we can also work underneath it and build up the pieces. So what we want to do is we want to Frankenstein it. So we're going to select our map layer, and there's a lot of ways to select things in Photoshop, as you probably know, but I'm just going to use my lasso tool to select and paste. So now on this layer, if you can see, I've got it there. And I'm going to hide the map layer just so I can see what I'm doing a little bit better, and try and get this shape of this island to fit the head of the whale a little better. So I'm going to go to transform, and I'm going to choose distort, and that gives me the opportunity not only to change the size and rotation, but also to distort the shape a bit to fit the head of the whale. So we're going to see if we can get this to work right. I actually want it to be a little bit bigger because this sand is kind of going to be on the outside of the shape of the whale. So I'm going to actually pull this out maybe a little bit more. And that looks pretty good, actually. I'm going to accept that. Hit return. So there's a head. So let's see. Now we're going to put the map back. And we need to do the body. What we're really focusing right now is making sure that there's some kind of shore all around the outside of the shape of the whale. So I think the next thing I want to do is the flippers and get those established. So I have a few options for flippers around here. Look at all these little shapes I can steal. I could use this one for the tail. I'm just going to rotate it right now and then maybe flip it horizontally. And you're going to want to do some other things with that to get it to look right. But right now, let's see what else we can grab. So there's the top fin, which is kind of pointy. I could maybe use, whoops, come back. I could use this for a fin, and I could use this for a fin. Let's try and get that. So I'm selecting my map layer. I'm going to copy this piece here. And then grab my move tool, drag it over here, and rotate. And make it smaller. And okay. So we're going to be just Frankensteining this together like this. Let's get this guy. Now, I just want to point out, when you make a selection, it doesn't attach itself to a specific layer. It is just a selection. So whatever it selects is going to be based on the layer that you activate. So that's an important thing to realize. Did I do the right thing? I think I did. In flipping that, and then we're going to do this. Ooh, that looks pretty good. Just like that. Okay. Oops. There. I hit enter. All right. So let's see what else we need. We need the body, basically. And zoom in a bit more. I think what I want to do is get this guy here and stretch him out. And you'll notice that when you paste something, when you copy something from a layer that has something in it and then paste it, it pastes itself onto a brand new layer all its own. And
And when I'm resizing this, if I just grab and start resizing, it's going to resize it. It's going to preserve the proportions. So what you have to do is hold down the Shift key to get it to be more. That might have gone too far. When you hold down the Shift key in Photoshop, it undoes the constraint proportions, so it's a little bit different. And what else? I need some shore for here, along here, and here. And that's all the rest of the shore I need. Let's see here. I could use some of this right here. Let me hide the tail. Okay. I'm going to get a bunch of this sand here. I'm doing Command T to activate the marquee, and that lets you rotate and all that good stuff. I'm going to move this up so we can see what I'm doing. There we go, that's better. And try and get it to, again, to line up just outside of that line. And obviously I can erase things as I put this together. And now all I need is something for right here. Right there. Okay. How about some of this? Just grab a piece of this sandbar here. Select map, copy and paste, grab it with my thing here, rotate, stick that right down under here. Actually, let's flip it. I'm going to do it like this. Something along those lines. Oh, maybe more like this. I want to use that part. Okay. And now we have a coastline sort of blocked in here. And so the question is, should we modify and fix this up first, or should we put the, let's use the layer masks first. So now I'm going to go to this layer right here. I'm going to select the layer, not the mask, and I'm going to turn my map back on, and I'm going to pull it up to just under that layer, and I'm going to use my rubber stamp tool, and I'm going to just paint in some of the nice blocks of buildings on this black area, because the black area is going to be basically the black top, the streets, the roofs of houses and stuff like that, in a kind of a gray. So what I want to do is make sure that with my rubber stamp selected, that I've got current and below selected. So I'm painting on this layer, but I'm grabbing from this layer. And then I want to check and make sure that my brush is the right size. I'll just zoom in a little bit here. And my brush is quite small, so I'm going to make it much bigger, like that, maybe like that. And I like it at 85, that works well for me. So I'm going to hold down the Option or Alt key right here. Oh, actually, let's do it over here. And then I'm going to start painting just like this. Nope. Okay, I'm going to do it up here. Right there. Let's see if that works. Oh, yeah. Okay. But it got to the end too soon. So let's try again. We're going to start up here and paint like that, and then around like that. Oh, boy, that looks good. Okay. So let's do some more. We're going to come up here and see if we can do some of this area right here. Try and start just right there. And it's just going to fill the mask with whatever it is I picked out. And now let's come up here and get something we can really go a little crazy with. Whoops. Whoa, how'd that happen? I'm going to zoom in again. Right. And we're going to put some of this stuff right along here. All the way down. Okay, so now we have a little bit more we need to do. It's not working now. Why? Oh, because the map is hidden. Okay. All the way up there. Now let's see. A missing spot there. Okay. So that looks pretty cool. All right, so now I'm going to pull this down to under the other one. And we're going to attempt to put the garden area in there. So let's start with this garden, since it's so nice, Option, or I'll click, and we'll put that right here. And grab some from here, put that in here, and then grab some from here. And now how are we doing? Let's get this out of the way, and wow, it's looking pretty cool. So now all we need to do is fix up the outside part. And I think that we're going to start from the tail, and we're going to put the tail on top. So here's our tail. Where is it? This one. Okay. And we're going to turn these guys off so we can see what we're doing. Okay. Oh, we have to, whoops, come back. We have to put this guy on actually so we can see that. All right, so we're going to start now with the tail, and I think the best way to handle this tail actually is to do a puppet warp. So I'm going to see if I can find puppet warp. Last time I did this, there it is, edit puppet warp. Okay, very good. So let's do it, puppet warp. And what this means is that you're warping the picture based on places, little pins that you place. I'm going to put a pin here, and 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 I'm going to put a pin here. And now I'm going to start pulling on this thing to try and make it more the shape that I want. So now I've warped it to be like the shape of the whale's tail, pretty much. And I'm reasonably happy with that. So once we have that, we put the other thing on top. Yeah, it needs to come out a little bit more. So let's go back to our tail. Puppet warp. Okay. Maybe just rotate a little bit. Great. So then the next thing we want to do is erase any bits that are going to be a problem for revealing the remainder of the shoreline. I believe we might want to erase this, bring this out like that, and then we want to just kind of do something with that. Oh, we don't want this thing there. Let's make this harder. That's better. We don't really need those. More that. Okay. Great. And the same thing over here. We're gonna, let's get this flipper up here. We'll find that little flipper. Is that this? Yes. Bring this up to the top. We're gonna do the same thing with this. Edit, puppet warp, and we're gonna put a bunch of these things in. And now I'm gonna just start dragging them around. Zippy dust. Okay, and again, I'm going to show the area. That's very nice. Okay. And then we just want to erase over here. I'm going to make this a little smaller. We don't have too much problem. Seems like it should be. Seems like it should be more like this. Trying to get it to look like it's supposed to be that way. I don't know how. That's going to look weird, but Who cares? Okay, so next is going to be which one? We got that. This one is going to stay under there. This one here. No, that one. Now let's do this. Bring this one up. And how it work? And I'm going to do just a little bit of this. Just got some nice sand along here. Now, we're going to move this down. And then what we want to do with our layer underneath is just grab and paint on some blue. Make this softer. Not like that. Gotta keep changing the location of that. And let's see how it looks now. Let me turn these on. Pretty good. Pretty darn good. We want that top there? I don't think we do. Okay. So I think what we can do, oh, we have something to erase up here on that top thing. Let's see. I think this one needs to be shifted. Let's probably work that one too. I just want to okay. I'm going to save, and then I'm going to grab all these layers that we've done. Oh, it's the flipper at the top. That's the one I need to fix. This one here. Let's turn these off. And I need to erase over here before I consolidate everything down. Just erase this bit. Select the right layer, which is this one indeed, layer 3. And just... Does that get covered up? Yes, it does. Okay. Like that. Not bad. I think it looks like a whale already. So okay, so now we're safe. I'm gonna collapse all of these layers into one. All the Frankenstein layers. I'm gonna merge. And copy. And then I'm gonna go back in time before I merge the layers, and I'm gonna put all these guys in a folder, because just in case I realize I might need something later, need to fix something later, I can keep those. Frankie. And then I'm going to move them down. archives. So now I have this layer here, which I can just match it up. Okay. And now I just want to soften up the edges of the blue because they're too harsh. And I'm just going to use my eraser tool at 0 hardness to go around and give this some softness so it blends in the background more nicely. And you can see why I might want to save a version in case I mess this up horribly and erase something I didn't want to erase, which happens. And I'm also going to use the heel brush. That doesn't seem to be working. Spot heel, how about that? Oh, that's right, spot heel is the one I want to use. Make it bigger. And a lot less harder. There we go. Spot heel is so good for getting rid of these weird lines. Just gathers up the context and figures it out. Okay. All right, well now we have a whale. Great. Okay, so the only last thing that we need to do is put back the bridge. So you can see that there's a bridge that is here that goes over the whole island, and we need to show it, and we also need to fix it. So what we want to do is copy this whole thing. I'm going to switch to the lasso tool. Let's do the polygonal lasso tool. The tool that'll be much easier. Okay, so CV. Okay, now we can actually just, we'll just get rid of that layer. Put this one under here. That's pretty good. Just have to get rid of some things. So let's make this harder. Zoom way in. I'm supposed to be taking it off of this. Okay. All right, so we're going to try and fix this, that, and also spot heel right here. And up here. And we're going to also use the rubber stamp to fix this thing where it looks like it's got trees on it. We don't really want those trees. I went too far. Pretty cool. Okay. So now we have the bridge in, we have the island redone, and now we're going to do one more thing. What we want to do is find our properties, which we can do by grabbing this. And we're going to go ahead and feather. So I'm going to actually hide this, and hide this, and hide this. And we're going to select this mask, and we're going to feather it. Real good. So you see how that softens up the edges so that we don't get that rasterizing pixelated effect. Doesn't need to be that much. And we're going to do the same with this overlay as well. We're going to just give it a little bit of a feather. So now we're going to go ahead and we never actually used this one. Didn't turn out to be that useful. But we're going to recombine these two. Save. Merge layers. Command A. Command C. Command V. Okay. And now we're going to go back in time, actually. Before I paste. Go back in time to before we merge layers. And then paste. We're going to paste up here, actually. This guy we're going to get rid of. We don't need two of those. And so it got moved over just a little bit. Move it back over this way. See how that matches up with our. I'm going to make this, put the difference on. Make this line up with the original a bit better. That's better. Put it back to normal. Okay, and I see that we have still some stuff happening over here that we need to get rid of. And I still feel like this needs to be rotated a bit. Just like that. Okay. I'm using the spot heal brush to just fix up what got exposed. So looking at this, I feel like it's still a little bit too big and at the wrong angle. So, and also I did want to zoom in here and deal with this. Maybe I'll put a little bit of that there. So I'm going to take my clone tool and get this. I'm just going to see if I can put this piece of coastline right there. Yeah. Okay. That's better. And now I'm going to take this whole guy and what's over there? Something of interest? Not sure what I'm moving with this. Some pixels somehow ended up there. That might be a better location for it. And also, I didn't like the way that the bridge was kind of cutting in across it. So maybe like that. This might be a better position. So once again, I'm going to use the clone tool, make it a bit bigger with the right bracket. And then maybe a little bit shift right bracket to make it a little bit harder. So maybe more like that. Okay. So I was just setting the hardness and softness with the shift left bracket for softer and the shift right bracket for harder. Now I'm going to hit Option up here and just put this. Oops, too far. I don't want to get any of that island in there. And I'm noticing that there's a little bit of a line there, so I'm going to grab my spot heal and just clean that up. And maybe something like that as well. And just trying to soften it up a bit. So we're still going to need to get in there over here with some more of the blue. So I'm going to make the whole brush smaller so I can get in over here. I think it needs to be softer. So shift left bracket and then right bracket to make it a little bigger. All right, that's better. That'll give me a nice soft edge. Here we want a slight lighter color, so I'm going to grab from here and just making sure that I don't get too close to that, because you can see how it picks up those edges, which we've got some of. If it's really soft, you can see it just picking right up on those edges. Grab some of that there. smaller. See if I can get right in here. Now, of course, this is not affecting the bridge because the bridge is on a separate layer, isn't it? But that little bit of something is there. It's part of the bridge. I see something there.